While we often think that we must be perfect to be admired, the truth is that perfection can create a sense of distance and intimidation. The pratfall effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon where a person who is perceived as highly competent or superior becomes more likable after making a small mistake. When a capable person trips, spills a drink, or makes a minor error, it humanizes them and makes them more relatable to others. This effect was first studied by social psychologist Elliot Aronson in 1966. In his experiment, participants listened to recordings of people answering difficult trivia questions. One person was highly competent, answering almost all questions correctly, while the other was mediocre. The researchers then added the sound of a coffee spill to some of the recordings. The results showed that the highly competent person who spilled the coffee was rated as significantly more likable than the one who did not make a mistake. However, there is a critical condition for this effect to work. The person must already be perceived as capable. If a person who is seen as incompetent or average makes a mistake, their likability actually decreases. In that case, the mistake just serves as further evidence of their lack of skill. This is why the pratfall effect is often discussed in the context of leadership and public speaking, where establishing authority first is necessary before a moment of vulnerability can be beneficial. The pratfall effect explains why we often feel a surge of affection for a public figure or a boss when they show a moment of genuine human weakness. It breaks the barrier of perceived superiority and creates a bridge of shared experience. By showing that they are not a robot, the competent person invites others to feel more comfortable in their presence. This can lead to stronger social bonds and a more relaxed atmosphere in both personal and professional settings. In the world of marketing, the pratfall effect is often used to make a brand seem more honest and trustworthy. Most companies spend millions of dollars trying to appear perfect, but a brand that admits to a small flaw can actually win more customers. This is because consumers are naturally skeptical of a product that claims to have no downsides. By admitting a minor imperfection, the company builds credibility, which makes their other positive claims much more believable to the public. A classic example of this is the advertising campaign for a famous car that was often teased for its small size and unusual shape. Instead of trying to hide these features, the company leaned into them with the headline, "Think Small." By acknowledging the odd appearance of the car, they gained the trust of the audience. People assumed that if the company was honest about the car being small, they must also be telling the truth about it being reliable and affordable. In the workplace, the pratfall effect can be a powerful tool for building psychological safety. When a leader admits they made a mistake in a meeting or shares a story about a past failure, it lowers the pressure for everyone else on the team. It signals that while high standards are important, being human is allowed. This encourages employees to take more risks and be more honest about their own challenges, which ultimately leads to a more innovative and resilient organization. However, the pratfall effect must be used with caution in a professional setting. If a leader makes too many mistakes or makes them on very basic tasks, they may cross the line from being relatable to being seen as truly incompetent. The key is to maintain a high level of performance in your core responsibilities while being open about the small, human errors that happen to everyone. This balance ensures that you keep your authority while also becoming a person that others genuinely want to follow. The pratfall effect plays a surprising role in how we interact with technology, specifically artificial intelligence and robotics. As machines become more advanced, engineers have discovered that people often feel uneasy or even fearful of a robot that is too perfect or too human-like without any flaws. This is related to a concept called the uncanny valley. By intentionally adding a small, harmless mistake to a robot's behavior, designers can make the machine feel more approachable and less threatening to the user. In studies where people interacted with a social robot, those who saw the robot make a minor error, such as getting a word wrong or slightly missing a target, rated the robot as more likable and more human than those who saw it perform perfectly. This small mistake breaks the cold, mechanical image of the machine and creates a sense of shared vulnerability. It makes the human feel more confident in the interaction because the robot no longer seems like an infallible, judging presence. This concept also applies to a first date or early social interactions. When you're trying to impress someone, your instinct is to hide every flaw and present a version of yourself that is flawless. However, being too polished can make you seem distant or even arrogant. A small, self-deprecating comment or a minor clumsy moment can actually be the thing that makes the other person feel comfortable enough to open up. It signals that you do not take yourself too seriously and that you are a safe person to be around. The pratfall effect works here because it lowers the social stakes. If you show that you can handle a small mistake with grace and a laugh, it shows a high level of emotional intelligence and security. It reassures the other person that if they make a mistake, you will likely be understanding and kind rather than critical. In this way, a small blunder acts as a social lubricant that speeds up the process of building trust and intimacy in a new relationship. The pratfall effect can quickly turn into a negative if it is used too often or in the wrong context. This is known as the dilution of competence. If a person repeatedly makes mistakes, even small ones, the audience begins to question if the person was actually competent in the first place. The magic of the effect relies on the contrast between high ability and a rare moment of human error. Without that solid foundation of skill, the mistake is not a charming blunder. It is just a sign of poor performance. This risk is especially high in professional environments where trust is built on consistency. For example, a surgeon or a pilot who makes a small joke about being clumsy may find that their patients or passengers feel more anxious rather than more connected. In high-stakes fields, perfection is the expectation, and any deviation from that can be seen as a threat to safety. The pratfall effect is most effective in social or creative domains where the emotional connection is just as important as the technical result. In the realm of public figures and celebrities, the pratfall effect often determines how the public reacts to a scandal. When a well-liked celebrity makes a mistake, their fans are often quick to forgive them because the error makes them feel more like a real person. This is especially true if the celebrity takes immediate responsibility and shows genuine vulnerability. However, if the public perceives the person as arrogant or out of touch, a scandal will not humanize them. Instead, it becomes a tool for the public to tear down their image of superiority. The same logic applies to politicians. A small gaffe, like tripping on a stair or a minor slip of the tongue, can actually help a candidate appear more like an everyday citizen. It breaks the polished, robotic image of a campaigner. But if the gaffe relates to their core platform or their ability to lead, the pratfall effect will not save them. The mistake must be unrelated to the very thing they are supposed to be experts in for it, to increase their likability without damaging their authority. The pratfall effect plays a major role in the changing relationship between children and their parents. To a young child, parents often seem like perfect, all-knowing figures who can solve any problem. However, as children enter adolescence and adulthood, they begin to notice their parents making mistakes or showing signs of struggle. If the parent has established a strong foundation of love and competence, these small failures can actually deepen the bond. Seeing a parent handle a mistake with humility allows the child to see them as a real person, which is necessary for a mature adult relationship. This shift is a vital part of emotional development. When a parent admits they do not have all the answers or that they made a poor decision, it gives the child permission to be imperfect too. It removes the pressure of living up to an impossible standard of perfection. This humanization of the parent creates a space for empathy and mutual support, shifting the dynamic from a one-sided hierarchy to a more balanced emotional connection. However, if a parent is consistently unreliable or incompetent, the pratfall effect does not occur. In those cases, mistakes are not seen as humanizing moments, but as sources of instability and stress for the child. The child may feel they have to step into the role of the adult, a process known as parentification. For the pratfall effect to work positively in a family, the child must first feel that the parent is a capable protector who can be relied upon during a crisis. In sports, the pratfall effect influences how fans perceive their favorite athletes during a high-stakes game. If a superstar athlete who is known for incredible skill makes a simple, relatable error, like tripping or losing their equipment, the crowd often feels a surge of support for them. It reminds the fans that despite their superhuman physical abilities, the athlete is still a person. This connection is why many of the most beloved athletes are those who are open about their struggles and do not try to act like they are invincible. In the classroom, the pratfall effect is a powerful tool for teachers to increase student engagement and reduce the fear of failure. When a teacher makes a minor mistake, such as misspelling a word on the board or forgetting a small detail, and then handles it with a sense of humor, It lowers the social distance between the teacher and the students. This makes the teacher seem more approachable and creates a classroom environment where students feel safer asking questions and taking risks with their own ideas. When students see a competent authority figure acknowledge a mistake, it helps dismantle the harmful idea that learning is a process of being perfect. If the teacher acts as if they never make errors, students may become anxious about making their own mistakes, which can lead to a fixed mindset where they avoid challenges. By modeling how to gracefully correct a blunder, the teacher demonstrates that mistakes are simply a part of the information gathering process. In a world of storytelling, the pratfall effect is why many of the most popular heroes in movies and books have a specific flaw or a tendency to be clumsy. A hero who is too strong, too smart, and never fails is often difficult for an audience to care about because they do not seem real. Writers often give a powerful character a relatable weakness or a habit of making small, human errors to ensure the audience can bond with them. This is the difference between a character who is merely admired and one who is truly loved. This technique is often used in the first act of a story to establish a connection. If we see a character perform a heroic feat and then immediately stumble or say something awkward, our brain uses the pratfall effect to bridge the gap between their greatness and our own experience. We become more invested in their journey because their imperfections make their eventual success feel more earned and more personal to us.